My name is Adrian Cole, and if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be a self-made millionaire living in a penthouse overlooking the skyline, I would have laughed in your face. Because 10 years ago, I was scrubbing grease off diner floors, praying for an extra shift to pay the rent, and wondering if life would ever get better. Everything I am today, I became for one reason, for her. Her name was Emily Carter. We grew up in a crumbling neighborhood called Brookside, where streetlights flickered, grocery stores locked up early, and dreams were nothing more than survival mechanisms. My mother worked endless double shifts at the factory after my father abandoned us. My sister practically raised me. We never had anything fancy, but we had grit. Emily? She was different. Her father ran a small mechanic shop, and her mother, who'd passed away when Emily was young, left her with a heart full of dreams. She was smart, beautiful, driven, far too good for a place like Brookside. We first met when I was 16, working at a dusty gas station. She walked in with a book in her hand, wearing oversized glasses and an effortless smile. I didn't know much back then, but I knew I wanted to see that smile again. At first, we were friends. She'd sit on the curb after school and talk about everything she wanted, traveling to Europe, writing a book, and studying at a top university. I listened mesmerized while hiding my report card full of D's in my back pocket. It was Emily who made me believe I could be more. "Adrian," she said one evening, "you're the smartest person I know. You just don't know it yet." No one had ever told me that. Not my teachers, not my family, not even myself. Senior year came, and she got accepted into Westbridge University, the top journalism school in the state. I got nothing. My grades weren't enough, my wallet wasn't deep enough, and my hope wasn't strong enough. When she told me the news, she cried. Not out of happiness, but fear. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Scared of leaving you, of leaving this everything." I swallowed my pride and lied to her. "Go, live the life you deserve." Inside, I felt like the earth had cracked open beneath my feet. But I promised myself, no matter how much it hurt, I wouldn't be the reason she stayed in Brookside. She left. I stayed. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, construction during the day, cleaning at night, and fixing cars on weekends. Every dollar I made, I saved. I rented a tiny studio apartment and taught myself everything I could about business, finance, and investing. Every night after work, I'd open my battered laptop and watch free YouTube lectures on business management. I studied, I worked, and I learned. Emily and I stayed in touch. Late night calls, holiday visits, handwritten letters. Her world was growing bigger. Mine was standing still. But I was working in silence. 3 years later, I had enough savings to start my first venture, an auto detailing business in a small garage space. I fixed up cars, detailed them to perfection, and reinvested every penny. When Emily graduated, she came back for a summer. I picked her up in my secondhand pickup truck. "Wow," she said, looking around my garage. "You built this." "Not enough yet," I replied, "but it's a start." That night, we sat on a rooftop of my building under the stars. "I missed you every day," she confessed, "but I'm proud of you." I wanted to tell her everything. How every call from her pushed me to keep going. How her belief was the only light in my darkest days. But instead, I just kissed her. Life took her to New York City, working for a publishing house, chasing stories. I stayed in Brookside, growing my business. By 25, I owned 3 garages and started a small trucking company. I'd learned to flip vehicles, lease trucks, and move goods. But I wasn't satisfied. Not yet. Emily was writing articles, interviewing CEOs, seeing the world, while I was stuck in my rundown town, surrounded by old habits and small minds. That year, I sold my garages, packed my bags, and moved to New York. No college degree, no fancy title, just raw determination. The city was brutal. I lived in a rat-infested room, took small transportation contracts, and pitched my business ideas to anyone who'd listen. I worked 16-hour days, ate instant noodles, and watched my bank account drop to double digits more than once. But I didn't give up. I couldn't. Whenever I wanted to quit, I replayed her voice in my head. "Adrian, you can be more." At 27, I landed my first major investor. A logistics company agreed to partner on a contract I'd hustled for months to win. It was a turning point. From there, things moved fast. Contract grew, my team expanded, and I opened my first office. I remember calling Emily, breathless with excitement. "Adrian, you're really doing it," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I told you," I replied. "I'd catch up." Success wasn't easy. I lost sleep, friendships, and sometimes my sanity. But by 29, I had a thriving transportation network stretching across 3 states, multiple offices, and a reputation in the industry. But there was one thing missing her. On her birthday, I stood outside her apartment, holding a bouquet of her favorite lilies. She opened the door, eyes wide in shock. "Adrian," she whispered, "what are you doing here?" I smiled. I promised myself I'd become a man worthy of you. I think I'm finally getting close. She laughed, pulling me into a hug that felt like home. We spent the weekend talking about the years we lost, the dreams we chased, and the life we wanted. She had offers from bigger media firms, a chance to go international. "I don't want to do long distance again," she said quietly. "Then don't," I answered. "Build your own company. I'll invest in you." She blinked, startled. "You do that?" I grinned. "You're the reason I built my empire. Let me help you build yours." By 30, Emily had launched her digital media startup with my backing. We worked side by side, her in storytelling, me in business. We built an office together, hired young talents, and created a space where creativity met ambition. Our apartment overlooked the skyline, glass windows, minimalistic decor, and 2 desks where we worked late into the night, planning our futures. I wasn't just a boy from Brookside anymore. I was a CEO, an investor, and most importantly, Emily's partner, not just in love, but in life. Every time we stood on our balcony, watching the city glow beneath us, I whispered, "I became everything for you." She'd always smile, resting her head on my shoulder. "And I became everything because of you." Years passed, and life remained chaotic. Business expansions, international travels, board meetings. But no matter how far we went, we stayed grounded. We built charities back in Brookside, renovated schools, funded scholarships, and opened a youth center to teach kids skills I taught myself. Emily wrote a best-selling book telling stories of underdogs who made it, of neighborhoods like ours that needed hope. At 35, we stood at the grand opening of the Cole Carter Foundation headquarters, a skyscraper built from steel, sweat, and every ounce of our shared dreams. As cameras flashed, Emily leaned in and whispered, "Remember when you were mopping floors?" I laughed, eyes shining. Every single day, success didn't make us forget who we were. It reminded us of what we'd overcome. We weren't born with privilege or shortcuts. We weren't handed opportunities. We fought, we bled, and we rose. And through it all, love remained our anchor. Even after all the wealth, properties, and fame, I never let go of that scrappy determination, and Emily never lost her storytelling magic. Because in the end, our greatest achievement wasn't the empire we built. It was the love that built us. And that, my friend, is the story of how a gas station boy became everything for the girl who saw more in him than he ever saw in himself.